Memorial services and vigils for brutally murdered journalist James Foley began as soon as his beheading at the hands of Islamic State was confirmed earlier this week. Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel Thursday said a U.S. covert mission to free the journalist and other hostages held in Syria earlier this summer was flawless, but it failed because they were not there at the time. Hagel said Islamic State presents more danger to the world than al-Qaeda ever has.
They're beyond just a terrorist group. They marry ideology, a sophistication of strategic and tactical military prowess. They are tremendously well funded. Oh, this is beyond anything that we've seen.
Hagel said Islamic State cannot be eliminated by military force alone. He urged political reforms aimed at uniting Iraq's sectarian society. Joint Chiefs Chairman General Martin Dempsey said militants have strongholds in Syria as well as Iraq.
That will have to be addressed on both sides of what is essentially at this point a non-existent border. And that will come when we have a coalition in the region that takes on the task of defeating ISIS over time. ISIS will only truly be defeated when it's rejected by the 20 million disenfranchised Sunni that happen to reside between Damascus and Baghdad.
Hagel warned Americans to prepare for a long struggle against what he called a barbaric group that has no respect for humanity.
We are pursuing a long-term strategy against ISIL because ISIL clearly poses a long-term threat. We should expect ISIL to regroup and stage new offensives. And the U.S. military's involvement is not over. President Obama has been very clear on this point.
Reports that the assassin of James Foley spoke with a London accent sparked concern that Islamic State has supporters around the world. As he pushes tougher security laws, Australian Prime Minister Tony Abbott says terrorist atrocities could happen in Australia.
Just goes to show that this is not just something that happens elsewhere. It could happen in countries like Australia if we relax our vigilance against terrorism and potential terrorism here on our shores.
The general public in Europe is mostly opposed to military involvement abroad, but analysts say the militants' cruelty to civilians and innocent victims will change that.
There is growing alarm around the world in relation to the Islamic State and its intentions, and this will in due course result in some form of unified action.
The U.S. Defense Secretary said there are no immediate plans for military strikes on Islamic State positions in Syria, but that the United States will do whatever needs to be done to protect U.S. citizens at home and abroad. Zlatica Hoke, VOA News, Washington.